This means Iran is one of the most attractive places for mega energy companies in the world. We asked the representatives of foreign companies in this year's Oil Expo about the investment opportunities in Iran.
Well, actually this is just the second time here, because last year due to the sanction we don't have much business activities going on here, but during this year I think it's getting better. So that's the reason why we come to this show and try to have more business partner with us. Previously, what we've done is just we sell some spare parts here, but now we're trying to do more, to sell more equipment here, to have more business with the local companies, Iranian companies here.
Iran's government has taken various measures to attract foreign investment for the country's energy sector. Iran's oil ministry has changed the kind of contracts it's using. It used to offer buy-back contracts that are no longer attractive to foreign investors. Under a buyback deal, the host government agrees to pay the contractor an agreed price for all volumes of hydrocarbons the contractor produces.
ما در یه برهه‌ای
In a period, our cooperation and contract with foreign companies were based on a buyback system. In that situation, the buyback system was quite beneficial to us. But you know, oil and gas industry is a completely dynamic industry. It keeps changing. The current situation is widely different from the situation 10 years ago. Therefore, those countries which keep monitoring the international situation will succeed. So we should pave the way for international companies to take part in our projects.
In the new Iran Petroleum Contracts, IPC, different stages of the petroleum industry, exploration, development and production, are commissioned in an integrated manner. Via the new contracts, Iranian experts will work with foreign investment companies so that they can become familiar with the latest technologies of the world.
Foreign companies asked some questions about the contracts. They were told that the authorities are reviewing the contracts in order to create a new model of contracts consistent with the current situation. With the new contracts, the projects will be attractive for both Iranian and foreign investors. Actually, the new contracts will be kind of win-win agreement.
Although the US government says Iran is not yet open for business, Iranian officials say the country is ready to start courting foreign investors. In November, Iran negotiated a partial lifting of the sanctions with the P5+1 in an interim nuclear agreement. World oil giants have shown interest in returning to Iran following the easing of sanctions against the country. Royal Dutch Shell, British Petroleum, Malaysia's Petronas, Spain's Repsol, Russia's second-largest oil producer Lukoil, France's Total and Italy's Eni have expressed their willingness to resume work in Iran.
این مذاکرات ایران با کشورهای
Iran and the P5+1 countries are continuing their negotiations. Fortunately, the negotiations are hopeful. Many of the companies participating in this show think about having cooperation with Iran in its oil and gas industry when the negotiations obtain a result and the sanctions are lifted.
In December 2013, Iran's oil minister Bijan Namdar Zanganeh said before an OPEC meeting that we have no limitations for US companies. We asked Iranian lawmakers about the presence of American oil companies in Iran's oil and gas projects.
Rouhani's administration has emphasized on this issue of energy, specifically on the oil and gas industry. The administration launched a new diplomacy which paves the way for country's energy sector to develop. Mr. Zanganeh's active presence in world and OPEC meetings has created a good atmosphere for our oil and gas industry.
Iran has expanded the range and volume of its petrochemical production over the past few years. Last year, more than 40 million tons of petrochemicals were produced in the country. $9 billion worth of that was exported. Iran plans to increase its petrochemical exports to $12 billion this year as sanctions are eased. Also, the country is expected to produce 51 million tons of petrochemicals by March 2015. That will bring in revenues of about $14 billion in exports. Iran has the world's second largest natural gas reserves after Russia. The country has been trying to enhance its gas production by attracting foreign and domestic investors. The Europeans have shown interest in diversifying their sources of energy, partly because of gas supply issues between the European Union and Russia over the crisis in Ukraine, he pointed out. On May 3rd, Iran's oil minister Bijan Namdar Zanganeh said the Islamic Republic is ready to supply European countries with natural gas via pipelines or in the form of liquefied natural gas.
آینده میتونه روشن باشه اگر
The future can be bright if both sides are interested, so these potentials should be realized. It needs hard work. Iran has several serious rivals. They never like Iran's natural gas enters Europe. They will prevent Iran from the Europe's market by any means. It is not easy to export natural gas to Europe, however, we have enormous potentials. Also, we need a strong energy diplomacy in order to prepare the situation for the country to achieve its expected position regarding to its reserves.
Although some of Iran's oil and gas companies are state-run, many of the companies affiliated with Iran's upstream oil and gas industry are run by the private sector. However, many analysts believe that the private sector should play a more active role in the petroleum industry.
In this exhibition, the emphasis was more on the private sector. Definitely, they should be supported. The oil minister, the deputy oil minister, and the chief executive officer of the national Iranian oil company said they would support the private companies. We will be pleased if private companies act competently so we can commit them to our projects.
Most of the domestic companies that took part in the Oil and Gas Expo are private companies. Their main objective was to show the government what the private sector is capable of.
On the opening ceremony, Mr. Zanganeh clearly declared that it is among the oil ministry's priorities to elevate the position of the private sector in oil and gas industry. More private companies, including equipment producers and project conductors, should take part in oil and gas and petrochemical projects. Their presence is essential because the government cannot develop all the projects of the petroleum industry. The best way is that we gradually decrease the number of projects done by state-run companies and give them to private companies. The process requires the oil ministry's cooperation.
Iran's government wants the oil, gas and petrochemical industry to achieve technological self-sufficiency. Familiarizing private companies with the government's goals for the future and supporting them financially could lead to the government maximizing on those companies' potentials for oil and gas projects.
In the first place, we should rely on the domestic private sector. I think this policy is pursued more in the new administration. Expelling foreign companies from our oil and gas projects for their glacial functions are part of this policy. The latest case was a Chinese company which was expelled from the project, so a domestic company replaces it. I think encouraging the private sector to enter our oil and gas upstream industry will guarantee its progress.
Iran's oil industry has been coping with historically unprecedented US-led sanctions. International companies have been strictly prohibited from taking part in Iran's oil and gas projects. Therefore, Iran's government needs to utilize the private sector's technical and financial capabilities to develop its mega projects. Iran today asks domestic companies about the effects of sanctions on their activities.
In the trade of petrochemical products, we work with the foreign companies because we do not sell these products inside the country. Actually, we buy the products from domestic producers and export them to foreign countries. Here, we work with our foreign counterparts, so sanctions affect our financial transactions with our foreign partners. Sanctions make some problems but cannot stop our trade. In drilling and aircraft fuel supply, we need some complicated products. Although some of these products are produced by domestic companies, we have to buy them from foreign companies. It became difficult compared to the time when there was no sanction. However, they cannot make us give up our activities.
The exhibition is an opportunity for Iranian companies to exchange technological know-how with their foreign counterparts and a platform for talks on further cooperation.
I think, well, maybe we can cooperate more in the future, because I think previously what we've done is with big companies with big companies, a government company with government companies. Nowadays we think, well, with some other companies going with some more business activities here, we can make the whole economy live.
بخش خصوصی با شرکت‌های همتای خودشون، شرکت‌های خارجی.
Taking part in the similar exhibitions and cooperating with the international companies help domestic private companies exchange experience and technology with their foreign counterparts. This will make our domestic private companies use the existing national and international opportunities. This also will guarantee our oil and gas activities.
In this year's exhibition, the number of foreign companies that participated tripled. This shows that world oil, gas and petrochemical companies, including American and European energy giants, cannot ignore Iran's stake in the energy market, regardless of the sanctions. Attracting foreign investment as well as taking full advantage of domestic companies and the private sector is how the Iranian government plans to rejuvenate the country's oil sector.